Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'd, fillah. An excellent new book I just purchased, and this is it's called Fitn, علاماتها وأسبابها وطرق الوقاية منها. It is called Fitn, trials or tribulations, and its signs and the reasons or the causes for it, and the way to protect from it, meaning from fitna. And it's by Shaykh Dr. Abdul Kareem ibn Abdullah al-Khudayr, Hafidullah Ta'ala, one of the Kibar ulama here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. A very fantastic small book. And I just wanted to actually, I hope we get a chance to kind of go through some of it at some point, but I have about 1 million projects I am currently doing right now. And I just wanted to really just quickly discuss the contents of the book and see if we can derive benefit even from the direction of the book. So he defines what fitna is, and so we're not going to do that. But one of the types of fitna, of course, is between the Muslims, is fighting and killing between Muslims. That's one of the types of fitna, discord between the believers. Shirk is also a type of fitna. So he mentions some different types of fitna. He mentions fitna in general in the shar. He mentions the first meaning, which is shirk, as a meaning of fitna. He also mentions the second meaning, which is ikhtibar, or being tested. And the third type of fitna is ma'asi wa itham, is sinfulness. And he mentioned a fourth type of meaning, is being tested in one's worship. He said, and this includes all the things that a person does which takes them away from their worship. That's the title of that portion of the book. So it's a fantastic little book, which I'm sure gives some excellent directions and guidance. And then he mentioned the types, the signs of fitna, and the danger of fitna in one's religion. And he talks about the reasons for fitna. He says first it's shirk. Another reason for fitna is leaving off the good and leaving off forbidding the evil. Tarka amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. And he mentioned the third cause for fitna is jahil, is being ignorant of the religion. And the fourth cause of fitna is entering books of fitna and misguidance into the Muslim countries. So books of Ahl Bid'ah and Zandaqa and Kufr into the land of the Muslims. And we could talk about volumes about that, about the experience of what I've witnessed firsthand. Wallahu musta'an. And then he mentions also, this is very important, and this is a fitna that we face a lot in the West, unfortunately, amongst Salafis, amongst Ahl Sunnah, is a ta'assub, and of course min Ahl Bid'ah as well, a ta'assub lil-tawa'if wal-ashkhas. Very important to understand that. So he also mentions a section about people who blindly follow groups and personalities and individuals. Wallahu musta'an. Then he also mentions another cause for this fitna is kathrat al-khubth, is an increase or overwhelming amounts of wickedness, of filth, and that could be all kinds of filth. And then lastly, he mentions as a cause for fitna is making the haram halal and making the halal haram. And he mentions some specific things like the spread of music and other things. Then he talks about, he ends the book talking about the ways to be successful and to protect oneself from fitna. And he mentions that the first way is i'tisamu bil kitabillah jalla jalaluhu wa sunnati rasulihi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So adhering to the book of Allah and the sunnah of the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the first way to protect oneself, safeguard. He mentioned the second way is not being quick to make a ruling or do some action. Meaning, if you don't have knowledge and you don't have a proper tasawwur, a correct view of an issue, or especially this hukum, this tasri', or tasarra fi hukum, fi ahkam, that could be being quick to make a ruling and judgments on people, of takfir and tabdi', of tafsiq, calling them a kafir, calling them a person from Ahl Bidah, or calling them a wicked sinner. That's one way people, to protect yourself from fitnah is to be patient and restrain from doing those things. Being quick to make rulings on others and quick to make rulings about major issues. And of course, this is reserved for the major scholars about these major issues. For example, bitcoins. This is a new type of currency, and dealing with technology. It's a whole new masail, and things have opened up. So again, not to be quick to rush into it and quick to make a hukum, a ruling on it, but rather reserve this for the people of knowledge and the people grounded in these issues to really look and study these issues properly. Another way of saving oneself, the third way he mentioned, is being adherent and vigilant with regards to one's worship in its time and during the time of fitnah. So when you're dealing with all this fitnah, all these trials and tribulations in the world, being strong and adherent in one's worship. The next path, fourth way, he said also lazum jama'at al-muslimin wa imamihim, adhering to the main body of the Muslims and their imam. We don't have one imam, but in your Muslim countries, if you were from Saudi Arabia, or if you're from Egypt, unfortunately so many other countries have fallen apart. We can't even mention much about Yemen and other places, wallahu musta'an. But wherever you're from, that you adhere to the main body of Muslims and the Muslim rulers. And for those of us in the West and other places where we're Muslim minorities, then stick with the main body of Muslims. Don't separate from the Muslims. Be a source of fitnah for the Muslims, and have some sort of leadership structure. And Imam Fawzan has some nice speech about this. About if we have a markas, some sort of Islamic thing, but whatever community you kind of belong to, then at least be respectful and obedient within the realm of obedience to your imam. Be respectful and listen to him and try to give him his authority that he has within the context of that community. Also, is increasing one's supplication. This is another way to save oneself from fitnah. And also nashr al-ilm shari. This is very important, and that's a good reminder. I mean, this is what you get from the major scholars. They give you this beautiful reminders, that just dawned on me, the importance of us continuing on in our studies, doing the best we can. All we can do is do the best we can. The limited knowledge we have, we're going to share it with you, and we're going to keep going forward, bi'idhnillah, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So nashr al-ilm shari, this is also an ilaj, a medicine to protect yourself from fitnah, because that tells you how to deal with things in times of fitnah, in times of ease, in every situation. It's ilm. And he also mentioned the sixth or seventh way, he mentioned staying away from fitnah and fighting and war. Staying away from those conflicts. For example, look at all the youth now that are begging from ISIS, for example. They're women fighters that France doesn't want to accept, the Western countries don't want to accept. Those families that went, they made hijrah to the people of misguidance and were a part of that. So now those Western societies are afraid of them. And the male fighters, they really don't want them. They want to say, hey, well, you guys deal with them, you guys kill them. The people who have them, the various groups that have captured them. I can't think of some of the groups, but the point is staying away from fitnah and these wars and conflicts, just jumping up and running without knowledge, going to Ahl Bidah, going to the people of extremism and evil who spread evil and terror around the world, and you get caught up in that fitnah. Now your life is destroyed. Look at the young German girls that are 16 years old, running to ISIS and married. Now they're crying and in terror, and they're begging to come back to disbelieving societies, because they feel they will get more justice in those places than being judged in Iraq and Syria. Wallahu musta'an. The next point the Shaykh mentioned, he said also being firm and not be quick uh, to try to deal with major issues and major affairs. To being firm on the sunnah and firm on your religion, and not being quick to try to deal with major affairs without the tools to do so. Wait for those major scholars to deal with some of those issues. And the last point he made is the command is also maintaining amr bil ma'ruf and nahy anil munkar, commanding the good and forbidding the evil. And then he also mentions, just as an aside, he mentions the ruling, and I didn't read what he said. This is just the content page, and he said the ruling with regards to wishing for death during the time of fitnah. So this is the greatness that we have with our kibar ulama, and we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us to get into some of their books. Please make dua for me that Allah frees me from my job that I have now to where I can just invest my time back in knowledge, seeking knowledge, working on my deen, and sharing that with you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with tawfiq, ikhlas with thabat, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.